You're listening to Too Dark for Disney. That was the Raincoats with Ooh 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 La La La. Before that, Adventures Close to Home off of the Raincoats' first album, The Raincoats, which came out in 1979. Disco Ball by Ana Da Silva off of her record The Lighthouse, which came out in 2018. And starting this week's installment of Too Dark for Disney, Fairy Tale in the Supermarket by the Raincoats off of their first album, The Raincoats. Thanks for having your radio on. I am playing a lot of all things Ana Da Silva affiliated because I am interviewing Ana Da Silva today on Too Dark for Disney, and we're going to get back to the interview. In this book, they talk a bit about the Raincoats' influence on the Pacific Northwest music scene, and a lot of that does go back to Calvin Johnson from K Records, not yet created K Records, but playing the Raincoats on his radio show, on his college radio show.
Yeah.
And that's how people started hearing about you guys over on this side of the world. Did it surprise you to get a resurgence?
Yeah, definitely. What happened is that our last record of the first batch was Moving, and that came out in '84. Mm-hmm. And after that, well, I suppose the records were still available for a while, but I can't even remember how long for. And then they weren't available for years, you know. And then, but somehow, yeah, because of that program, and people made cassettes to each other. There's a whole thing about how people found out about us because a friend of a friend of a friend made a cassette, which would sound almost terrible, but
yeah.
still had the spirit of it or something. I don't know. And they got to know us from that. And do you remember MySpace?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes. Well, MySpace was the first thing that I know of that had anything to do with social media. I suppose you can call it social media, can't you? Or any kind of real relationships with the outside world, sort of thing. And we were on there, and people just kept wanting to join and saying, oh, your music has been so important to me and everything. And lots of them were from the States. And actually, we have a very big following in the States. And yeah, so that was really surprising. I thought we'd completely forgotten, or we were sort of in people's shelves next to, I don't know, Rainbow or something.
Yeah, exactly, yes.
Who knows what was next to us. And I just thought, well, that's it, you know, there's new things, and that's what it is. And then, there was this bigger interest, and there was Kurt Cobain. Well, first the Riot Girl women were really big fans of what we were doing and got inspired by it, and I just felt a kind of a sense of achievement, not because people wanted to buy our records or anything, but because they were inspired to do their own thing.
Yeah.
And that for me was really rewarding. But also, a lot of people have found out about us through that, and through Kurt Cobain having his favorite lists in his. I think it was a sort of diary, and he had lots of lists of music that he liked and everything, and we're there. And a lot of people have found out about us through that, you know. So it's always been, yeah.
I know it's little girl, oh no, I'm not gonna be, 'cause I don't wanna be, I never shall be in your family tree. Even if you ask me to, I'm gonna turn you down. I won't miss you around. Nice little girl, oh no, I'm not gonna be, 'cause I don't wanna be in your family tree. Even if you ask me to,
think people are still finding us.
Yeah.
To this day. Well, look at you. You're young.
Well, young enough. Young
Well,
enough.
don't tell me about that.
I've lived a life. But yeah, no, I think that's definitely true. And it's very exciting as a fan and someone that just loves you as a human and your art that I think this book is going to have a whole new resurgence of Raincoats.
Yes, I hope
Which is
so.
exciting, honestly, because also, well, I want to talk about all your albums, but when I first heard your self-titled record, which came out in 79, right?
Yeah.
It blew my mind just because it didn't sound like anything. The original sound of your band helped to create all of these other original sounds too that are just like monumental bands. Was Kurt talking about taking the Raincoats on tour?
Yeah. We were scheduled to go. There were the tickets and everything.
Wow.
And first, we were told, the tour has to be postponed. He's not well. And then that's when he was in Rome that he had an overdose or whatever it is. And then we were gonna do it, not again because we hadn't done it in the first place. Yes, we were still gonna go on tour with them, and then he died.
Yeah.
So we didn't do it.
I met her in a club down in Old Soho where they drink champagne and it tastes just like